Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Ladies and gentlemen, to gain barakah for today's event, let's start with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, and blessing be to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to welcome to the second day of the International Islamic Fund and Wealth Management Forum, organized by IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance in collaboration with PNB. To kick off our today's agenda, we would like to proceed for our panel session 2, and the topic to be discussed is pushing the frontier of Islamic fund management and wealth management industry, GLCs, as a catalyst for growth. To be with us are Yang berbahagia Dato Idris Kechot from PNB, Yang berbahagia Dato Badlisyah Abdul Ghani from Lembaga Tabung Haji, Yang berbahagia Encik Jaafar RIhan from Kumpulan Wang Simpanan Pekerja, and Yang berbahagia Encik Azmeen Adnan from Kumpulan Wang Persaraan. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I pass the session to the moderator, Yang berbahagia Dr. Abdullah from IIiBF, to lead the discussion.
A very good morning to everybody. Welcome back to our panel session 2 this morning. As Joe just mentioned, entitled Pushing the Frontier of Islamic Fund Management and Wealth Management Industry, GLCs as a catalyst for growth. And we're very fortunate to have, I guess we can describe this as Malaysia's biggest and finest pension and investment institutions. It's interesting to just quickly note that the combined assets under management of our brothers here around the table with me today equals 1.23 billion ringgit, which, just to contextualize that, 1.23 trillion ringgit, I should say, which to contextualize that is the entire output of Malaysia in terms of GDP for last year. So what they had to share with us this morning, I think, is very relevant in terms of growth, in terms of fund management, wealth management, and inshallah GDP as well. So I think the format of our discussion this morning is that we decided that each one of our panelists would discuss and present perhaps the slides as necessary, 10 to 15 minutes. And then we follow this up with questions for myself, and then we'll open this up to the floor panel. So I think the first one, I'd like to introduce Dato Kechot, who is the Group Operating Officer and Deputy President of PNB. Joined, in fact, PNB in 1983, so he has 34 years of extensive experience in equity valuation, equity trading, and portfolio management. And his assets under management, which is responsible for the asset management division, represent about 260 million. So that's perhaps first begin the presentation. Who has some slides?
Thank you, Chairman. My colleague, Jaafar, Azmeen. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to sit here to give the presentation. Since the audience are mixed, perhaps it's good for me to share you all, the basics, what's PNB, the role of PNB. Before I proceed to take your questions here. Okay. PNB basically set up in 1978 out of the RMK fleet and in the third Japan because of the imbalance of the economic case, economic wealth of the country. At that point in time, I think the Muslim community basically moved only for 2.4% of the wealth of the country. The rest are held by foreigners or the non-Muslim, obviously the non-Mufta. I hope you understand Mufta is the indigenous people. And basic rule of AIIBF basically is that to facilitate the cooperation, it can really select require some population shares and promote the ownership of share capital by the community. This is to elevate the share ownership of mark withdrawal through unit trusts, the mutual funds basically. So we set up ACMD, the issue of economic imbalance by promoting the ownership of shares, and also the mobilized savings. Till today we have 12 products, 6 fixed price products, 6 fully commercial variable price products. The biggest chunk are still fixed price products because moving elected to take risks, they want safer investment in the capital. They can take some volatility of the profits, but not the capital. From our activities, we have moved of the unit segregation and moved from 1981, 500 million, now to more than 212 billion ringgit. It means a growth of 18.6% per year in term accounts. So the unit segregation. In term accounts, now almost 13 million account holders in Malaysia having accounts with us. Total assets earlier from 3.5 billion in 1981. When launched, we target only 500 million, but unexpectedly we received almost 3.5 billion the first year of launching. In fact, we had to change the computer system to accommodate the size of the investment. Now, together with AIIBF, we are almost 270 billion ringgit of investment. Okay, in terms of ranking, we are number 5 in Asia, size, second Korean Miri, and then China Havas, and then Dustry from Singapore, and AIIBF at the 5th in Asia. Okay, you do the asset class that we're investing. Currently, 69% in public equities. We have very little private equities. We have 4% in fixed income, small. 1% I would say that the other investment. And at any one time we have around 20 to 30% of cash. Because we are voluntary money, people can take in and out any time. If they have something to pay or they don't trust PAB, they can take that. Because we honor them, they have on spot redemption. They can buy and sell on the spot. That means there's no cooling off period. So we have to be very quick here. So we have Kechot can really 20-30% any time. By at the moment now, our investment mostly domestic. Because I think most of the investors are local. 100% of investors are local. We only open to Malaysian citizens. So they don't understand what happened in the US, what happened in Japan or China. So we try to educate them to understand, but I think most of them, they only can understand Malaysian market, GDP, and so on. So at the moment now, 98%, but this might change. Our investment is a co-investment. We have Maybank, UNW, that produce the self-Toyota, Sandabi, the largest listed plantation in the world, palm oil, I would say that. And CCM, this is chemicals, and Setia, this is property, and also Narabi, this is Takaful, the last, the Takaful. The rest, our investment, mainly the co-investment, these are investment more than 1 billion or 10%. Those are 47 companies that we are investing in the moment now. Okay, this is our record for payment of dividend. When we started in 1981, I think the stock market was different then. Performance was very good. We paid 20% return per year. Now we are paying only 7. Last year we paid 7.25%. These are the last 3 years. I can be back. You can only generate around 8-9%. We paid up 7.5% last year, ranging from 6.30 to 7.5 last year. Because Malaysia have been, the stock market not doing well the last 3 years. I think this is the longest ever stock market underperformance since last 3 years. This is the challenge for us. As demand of sustained return, if we extrapolate 5% growth for the next few years, we expect we have to deliver 19.1 billion profit distribution to our unit holders. Last year we paid 13.9. This is our calculation. This is a challenge that we probably for PMB, how to deliver the 19.1 billion, almost 20 billion, and where do we find investment? Also, which areas or which geographical region that we should be investing in. Okay, just to share with you, let us skip this one. Okay. We have PMB, that's our own money, around 60 to 70 billion. The unit trust around 220 billion. The board mandated to us, delivering enhanced sustainable return of PMB portfolio, increasing withdrawal economic wealth, and utilizing part of PMB gain for socially impactful initiatives. That's part of the challenges that we have to. At the same time, we make money, we have also to give back to community. Just to share with you, okay. This is the 2020 road to 2020. Increase asset management to 350 billion. That's a benefit that asked us to do. And sustainable, consistent market, then sustainable, consistent return, enhance customer experience, SME application, online portal, and so on. This is what we are supposed to do. Nation building, we are supposed to build 5,000 available homes for the next 5 years, and 1,000 Ultra Chartered Accountant. This has been mandated to us to produce. And then, of course, the corporate Malaysia, high-performing Malaysian corporate, recognized as a good global investor, leader in private investment, and creators of future corporate provision. I would say that this is what key deliverables that we have charted ourselves for next 2 to 5 years. Okay, on the CSR side, maybe not just only manage money, make money, we do pay back to the society. For example, here, education part, we have spent millions and millions to produce chartered accountants for the next 5 years, 1,000 accountants, professional accountants, I say that. More than 500 candidates today that we have recruited. And scholarship, I think they have given 600 scholarships, mainly overseas, basically. And also we gave, since actually we have given 2,400 scholarships, both domestic and international. Apart from that, we accredited ourselves to train under SLEEP, Scheme Latihan One Malaysia, 400 participants. That means for fresh graduate, we'll train them for 1 year or 6 months to 1 year so that they can be employable in the market. Okay, in terms of products, we have added one more product to us. I think when you talk about wealth management, basically it's financial planning from when they are born until the end of the day, their death. That means for PMB, all the products from 6 months old, you can be investor of PMB trust. Now, I think yesterday, the proposal of my chairman is that once you are born, we give you a certain amount, the government gave us a certain amount, you become registered unit holders for PMB. This is to encourage people to save so that the whole family can be unit holders of PMB. And they learn about making give the education on the financial planning so that they prepare themselves for retirement. Because we cater for education also, because we have a product, education product, and then for their health, also retirement. So we have all those products, lifestyle products that probably that meet the requirement of our unit holders. So here we have been spending millions and millions every year to educate people. If you look back here, we have done the Minggu Saham Amanah, the investment week. Almost 3.4 million investors have attended our Minggu Saham. For the past 18 years, we spent almost 10-15 million a year just to exhibit what the thing that we have, the company that we are investing in, also the product that we are selling, they can buy, choose. Not only from AMB, CIB, RHB, from Maybank, they can expose that. Then we have also 360-degree seminar. We do free seminar every day. This was mentioned yesterday by Tansi Ahmad, Tansi Khalid, and also Tansi Wahid, that every day, whether it is on the Eid, Chinese New Year, we always have, Sabahan, probably the Sarawakian, the Chinese, we have some Chinese staff also here, living on the RIhan, or in Sabah, so on. Almost 360 days we have seminar every day, out of 365 days. So these are maybe 20, 40 or 100 people attending, just to teach them about how to do financial planning, or focus in financial planning, basically from investing until inheritance. Okay. Okay, in terms of keyboard, sorry. Okay. Since we introduced our product in 2020, now almost 12 billion asset people have that keyboard this. I mean, I think probably that is probably now only the largest probably in the IIiBF that we have done. And I think more awareness, not only very popular to manage even the Nampumi. Because we have an IIiBF Amanah, we have also Persaraan Amanah, then we put Nampumi. Because we can settle the inheritance within 23 days, 21 days. Previously, I think if somebody died, Paraid, then go to Paraid, if your asset more than 2 million, you have to go to High Court. If less than that, you have to go to Rahmanara. It takes you probably between up to probably 3-4 years before you can get your money. So for us, we realize that people need money, need cash flow, and their activities. We need to give them back their money in a short time. And our record shows that we have given as fast as 21 days. Once about that, you presented to us just certificate, few document, the agreements with us, we give you back the money. This will keep the family moving. Okay, in terms of investment, I think this is, we have investment all over the world, but in property we have investment in UK and in Australia. I think we have invested almost 8.3 billion investment in UK and Australia. Those are the building, Milton Sharia houses in London, Santos Place in Brisbane, One Nation Square in London. Those are one of the so as you distributed of products. One is that I think the domestic equity market is sufficient to meet the demand of fund managers, basically, because now within this level only 1.2 trillion, the stock market cap is only 1.7 trillion. You cut out the non-Sharia, we are left with 1.1 billion only Sharia compliant stocks. And bear in mind, probably only 30% is very liquid, not very liquid. The rest are not liquid. So for us is that we need liquidity. Because I think you need trust in volunteer money, they can withdraw money, we need the cash. If people need, we need to sell the shares, give back their money. So we need liquidity. So to me, as AMB, I think the local market still is sufficient to meet our requirement. Fixed income market is similarly fixed income market. I think the Suku, I think not that big enough, not liquid enough, because many people buy and hold. We need to trade from time to time. The other one is that I think the lack of inadequate investment professionals in this year. I think especially among the Bumis, the Sharia people and Muslim probably. I think most of the investment analysts, fund managers are now Buddhist, or non-Muslim, I would say that. So we need more Muslim fund managers who have good knowledge, professionals, the fund managers. This is why also we produce a lot of accountants. For PMB, I think we have produced a lot of CFAs. I think we have the largest number of CFAs probably in the country in terms of staff. Another one is that Muslim wealth managers. I think public bank, public mutual, most of the wealth managers are probably non-Muslim, selling Muslim products, see that, Sharia compliant. I think participants buy probably Muslim in the wealth management is still very low. I think I'm not mistaken. Only 20 full-fledged Islamic fund manager, only 20 out of I don't know how much the fund managers. If we talk about wealth management, probably also very small. The other one is that knowledge and understanding among Muslim inherited planning. People always quote the 60 billion unclaimed monies, unclaimed assets. I'm not so sure what the numbers, but at least it's very big. And I don't have statistics, but I think with us, maybe also a lot of unclaimed, not yet reclaimed by people, running about a few hundred million because you don't know how to do inheritance planning. You still start with us because they have to go through the process of claim, court, high court, or other side jail, to the same office to get the inheritance. Most of the problem is that because without planning, quarrel among families. The reason why the money stuck with us probably for many years. Yeah, and it made more difficult once the siblings pass away. You have to get the next level to claim the asset. So this is, I see that this is the largest problem. How to mobilize probably productive asset to become more productive asset rather than start with one institution like AME or with RIhan, so that people can generate or recycle the money. My last one is that savings rate in Malaysia. If we say that AME manage got 270 billion, but relatively small. You look at based on stock market, probably our money, maybe money only 10% on the stock market over 7 trillion. That means whereas the movie community, Muslim community here, almost 60%. So the wealth saving rate is still low among Muslim, and a lot of Kechot has been done. I think to me, the actual withdraw money or Muslim money will be for Tabung Haji. What money is pension money, sorry. IIIBF money is public. Not volunteer, I would say that. You're usually the card to pay IIIBF and so on. So real Muslim money is probably for Tabung Haji and with us. So much more, it's not that big. I think that's all. That's a clear remark for me. Question. Yes. Thank you very much.
The equity, the alternative assets are ready. And alhamdulillah, we find that Malaysia provides that revenue for investment. That is why we start investing in Sharia. Okay. So that is why before we launched this Simpanan Sharia, we did some survey in 2015, and we found out that 71% of our members agree for Sharia compliant savings retire offered to members. So from there, we did launch the Simpanan Sharia. Okay, as I said, of course we launched in 2016, but the whole process to start the Simpanan Sharia begins much earlier than that. As you can see there, in 2014, we have to look at the act, we have to look at the availability of assets, we have to look at the infrastructure, we have to look at the players, we have to look at most important whether or not, most important whether our members are ready or not for the Simpanan Sharia, which we did a survey. So all that leads to the introduction in 2016. Okay, this is a simple chart, graph, how the Simpanan Syariah is operationalized. Essentially, when member register, so the account will be tagged, whether conventional or Islamic. But of course, in terms of the employer, they do not know whether they are staff or workers subscribe to Sharia or not. Okay, so the parameter that we introduced essentially is we would like to minimize disruption. We do not want, because of the fact that we introduce Simpanan Syariah, we have to revolutionize the whole system. We do not want that. So one of the important parameters is that minimize disruption. So for that, workers, members, employer, they just remit single payment and form. What we need to do here is that internally kita akan we will, of course, this is international Islamic university. So we have to break the conventional and Islamic account accordingly. And then the investment will also be account with tag, conventional instrument and Islamic instrument. And then we will declare the dividend. Inshallah, first dividend will be 2018, IIIBF dividend and conventional dividend. Then remember, our fund is about 750 billion, so 1% is 7.5 billion. We have to declare that. So if it is 5%, 6%, multiply that. So that is the size that we're looking at. Okay. So of course, underpinning it will be the structure, the people, the process, and the technology. So that will be adjusted to the system. Okay. Okay, here it shows that we use the existing governance, of course, single entity, one act. There is no two act, just one act. We are basically in banking, we are just using leverage model, banking structure, leverage using leverage model. Okay, and of course, enhance the SACO. Previously, we set up SAC 2010, Sharia Advisory Council. Sharia Advisory Council purely looks at that point of time on investment. But now, Sharia Advisory Council looks at the whole operation of IIIBF. Operation, investment, whatever, or anything related to Sharia, we will do it. So that is the role of the SAC that we enhance. And it is captured in the act. Alright. Alright. Investment, this is the breakdown of the Sharia and non-Sharia assets at the book value. More than 45% of the 295 billion of IIIBF total investment is Sharia compliant. Alright. And then the growth, you can see here steadily grow from 2010 is 32% until 2015 is about 45%. So the figure is around it now. About 45% of the total fund is Sharia compliant. Of course, we will try to grow as much as 50%. But again, at the end of the day, it depends on the availability of supply of the instruments. Okay, so in order for us to sustain the 45% of the total assets in Islamic, we need to invest at least 25 billion a year on the Sharia assets. In order to grow 45, in order to maintain the minimum 45%, we need to invest at least 25 billion a year. Because the base is getting bigger and bigger every year. Okay, so we have to, at least that's 25 billion. So there must be a lot of demand and supply of Sharia assets. Okay, I always believe demand will create supply. So when we have this, inshallah, the Islamic financial assets, not just assets, the people, the system, the whole ecosystem, inshallah, will be developed. Okay, this is the external fund manager. Because we manage internally, we also give money to our external fund manager who are Islamic assets. So it's about 12 of them. And we have mandates based on the asset class. So we have equity, domestic equity, global equity, fixed income, domestic fixed income, and global fixed income. So this is the fund size that we give to our external fund managers to manage. It's about about 30 billion lah. About 30 billion ringgit. Okay. Again, under the topic of creation, is the sufficient Islamic assets domestically and globally for IIIBF to invest in. I put it a general statement. Okay, so in terms of domestic, as I agree with Dato, there is some limited availability in terms of first invest. But global, alhamdulillah, there is a lot, much more outside. In terms of equity, particularly in Sukuk, there's still some limited supply. My boss always use the analogy: we are a big fish in a small tank, so we cannot swim freely. So we need to go to the sea, and the sea is the international market. But when you go to the international market, you know lah, the sea is very rough. So that is the challenges lah. Alright. So in terms of conversion, okay, we will look into, at the end of the day, as I said, minimal disruption. Okay, so for Simpanan Syariah, for Simpanan Syariah, we are committed. Okay, although we don't guarantee, that is the important part element. We do not give guarantee, because the relationship between IIiBF and IIiBF members are based on wakalah. Wakalah. So we don't give guarantee. We cannot give guarantee. But conventional, yes, they do declare nominal dividend of 2. They try to declare a minimum dividend of 2.5% and 2% above inflation over a 3-year rolling period. But for Simpanan Syariah, we cannot give guarantee, but we will strive to achieve the current strategy objective, strive to achieve these 2 minimum guarantees. Based on our track record, alhamdulillah, we managed to give the return that we promised. Percayalah. Okay, insyaAllah. Okay. And also in terms of risk tolerance, is the same. We adopted the same risk tolerance for the conventional. So basically we're saying that it doesn't mean that Simpanan Syariah, we take extra risk. We adopt the same risk tolerance for Simpanan Syariah. Okay. This is translated in terms of the asset position. Okay, so for example, for conventional, we have fixed income, equity, inflation asset, and cash. And then for Islamic, it's 50% is in fixed income, okay, equity 42%, inflation 15%, and cash 33%. So what we can clearly here you can see is that what we don't have enough is inflation asset class. When we talk about inflation asset class, we're talking about properties. These are the type of asset class that we're looking at, for example, which we don't have many, especially in domestic, that is Syariah compliant. And cash is 33%. The challenge is, when we place cash with our Islamic banks in Islamic bank money market, the size of our Islamic bank is small. So we have limits, and we always pass the limit. That's the problem. We need mega Islamic bank. We are big, so we need bigger partners. Okay, we don't have bigger partners in the market. So then Islam, then Mu'amalat, so we need bigger of them, bigger version of them. And last time I remember Governor Zeti said they were setting up mega Islamic bank. I do not know what happened to that initiative. So we need that size of bank. Okay. Otherwise we have problems in terms of placing funds especially. Okay, compliance, we have 5 Sharia scholars to advise us. I think all these faces are no stranger to you, especially Dr. Adnan, Dr. Rabia. Okay, these are the usual suspects in Sharia. Hey, Dr. Adnan, sorry, did it? No? Okay. Busy boy, yeah, it's overseas. Okay, these are the people who advise us on the Sharia matters. It's a state both operation and investment, not just investment alone. So in terms of compliance, we can see here in terms of we observe the pre and the post investment activities. Okay, so we have to make sure that all the operation investments comply with Sharia from A to Z. Okay, so we have the parameters, Sharia investment parameters, okay, and then we have Sharia screenings, okay, we have, and after post we have the Sharia non-compliant treatment, and which is the NCI, the non-compliant income, and then we have the Sharia governance function, okay. Last week we presented to our Sharia on the Sharia compliance parameters, and alhamdulillah our SEC or Sharia advisory already approved the Sharia compliance parameters. Okay. Alright, these are the challenges. This is the thing that I want to deliberate more. The new infrastructure related to social security. IIiBF is a social security organization. We keep reminding us that we are a social security organization and not just a fund manager. Okay? We are a social security organization, and therefore we need to evolve to ensure sustainability. Our management is because the fact that we shouldn't be concerned too much about the size of the fund, but our concern will be more about the quality of our members. If we have 1 trillion fund size, which will be in 2020, will be 1 trillion fund organization, but our members finish their savings in 1 year time. Compared to last time, they tend to finish in 5 years time, but now within 1 year time, they finish our funds saving. So the quality has deteriorated. But of course, we cannot blame IIiBF or whatever, but it's because of the cost of living, inflation, all these things increasing. So the quality is deteriorated. So now we should look into other approaches, how to help our members. Perhaps, maybe monetary dividend alone is not enough. So maybe we look into, for example, social dividend. Okay, what is social dividend? Social dividend is dividend in kind that preserves and sustains IIiBF members' social security well-being. Previously, our vision was to become the best pension fund in the world. Now we change our vision to provide the best retirement service to our members. Okay, so now we will change the vision. Because at the end of the day, we are here for members. We are not here for the market, capital market, whatsoever. We are here for the members. So we have to make sure that we live with that objective, that vision. So the social dividend that we're looking at is in the form maybe in housing, medical, and training. This is something that we can work together with the academicians. How we can develop the social dividend. Because at the end of the day, it's about sustainability of our members after retirement. That is important. Right? And again, from Sharia perspective, the social dividend fulfills the objective of Sharia, which is to preserve life, mental, and wealth. Okay? So a social dividend is a non-monetary format. This will reduce the growth tension of IIiBF asset size. As I said, in 2020 it will be 1 trillion because our growth size is about 11% per annum. Compared to GDP, it's about 4 to 5%. So that's the challenge. Right? So if we keep on focusing on monetary dividend alone, this will put extra burden to IIiBF. We also need to look at new products. For example, securities borrowing and lending, retirement sukuk, which can be in perpetual structure based on GDP or inflation. Because IIiBF, unlike foreign investors, we are here to stay. Yeah? We are here to stay. We are long-term investors. So maybe we can work with the issuers, especially the government, to look into structures which is more in line with our investment appetite. For example, based on GDP or based on inflation, and make sure it will be perpetual. Don't have maturity. We don't have to compete with the existing market players. The existing market players, like the banks or the fund managers, they are the type of short, immediate term. For a pension fund like us, we are long term. So we need a dedicated, a specific type of instrument to meet with this requirement. Co-investment and GLCs on national strategic projects. Now we can work together with PNB, Wang, LTAT, Tabung, Haji, whatever. And I applaud PNB objective to develop sustainable, affordable housing, 5,000 units. And these are kind of projects that we can work together. To work together and develop and provide housing to Malaysian peoples. Affordable housing. There's something project I want to work with Adnan as well. Inshallah. And last but not least, cooperation among Muslim countries on development of Sharia compliant pension fund. Okay? I think right now, especially in the Middle East, they cannot be depending on their government because the oil price has dropped. So they need to develop this Sharia pension fund, and we have this model, and we can work together and develop this model together. They say this is another form of da'wah that we can do to the countries, to the Muslim nation, inshallah. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Jaafar. I think both of our opening presentations were very inspiring. So let's invite our third discussants, panelists, Brother Azmeen who is representing Clark, the government's pension fund. Brother Azmeen has 20 years of experience in banking and asset management industry. He's currently the director of the fixed income department in Quad. Quad currently has assets under management of about 200 million. 130 now, I think. Inshallah.
First and foremost, organizer of Islam for inviting us here to share our experience with regards to the market, as well as to give you some brief updates on Quad. Well, first and foremost, sorry that I don't have any slides here. So it's just an open session and a brief session that we can discuss. About Quad, the retirement fund incorporated Quad, Kumpulan Wang, Persaraan, was established under the Retirement Fund Act 2007 and Act 662 on first March 2007. So last March we are already 10 years old. So we are the team. So what do we do? What is Quad? We are the government pension fund. So we cover the mutual funds of the pensioners. Of course, we have our mission, and our values. Basically, our vision is to become the trusted retirement fund that supports nation building by innovatively delivering sustainable benefits. Our mission is to optimize investment returns and deliver excellent services by adopting best practices in key stakeholders, committees, and the most important thing with regards to the values that we must have good leadership, excellent and achievement, teamwork, stakeholder orientation, accountability, continuous learning and innovation, and the most important thing, of course, is integrity. A bit about the fund size of Quad. And the fund size asset currently is about the circle of 130 billion ringgit. And where do we get the money from? Unlike IIiBF, where actually the employee and the employer contributes into the fund. For Quad, the employee doesn't contribute to the fund. The employer contributes into the fund. In this case, who are the employers? They are the federal government, statutory bodies, local authorities, and agencies, as well as if the government employee decides to go into this defined benefit scheme, the IIiBF portion will be, the employer's IIiBF portion will be transferred to us. What Quad is basically a defined benefit scheme. IIiBF is a defined contribution scheme. So that is the two different things there. What do we invest in Quad? Is the normal standard asset class that I think us, IIiBF, as well as Tabung Haji and BNP invest in. And we invest in equity, we invest in bonds, corporate bonds, government bonds, and we do invest in alternative investment, which is basically properties, land, private equities, and so forth. As well as a small portion of the asset is in money market. Where we are right now compared to actually where we are 10 years ago, for your information, actually 10 years ago was the incorporation of Quad under the Act. But in actual fact, that Quad exists back, all the way back to 1991 under Jabatan Accountant Negara. So we can track back to 07, where we start our fund at about 41.94 billion, and where we are right now is about almost 130 billion ringgit. If we look at the average AUM or asset under management growth per annum from 2007 to 2016 is almost 12%. The right figure is 11.76%, with an average return on investment at about 6.31% for 10 years, and an average time-weighted rate of return per annum is about 7.28%. What is all this? It is sustainable growth. That's part of what we want. Right? Where we are, our investment are basically spread around 37 countries around the globe. But the majority of this investment is about 81% of our asset under management is here domestically, and 90% of our asset under management is invested internationally. I think with regards to that, Dato Idris as well as Jaafar mentioned that being a fund, a big fund, we would invest 100% domestically indirectly in the market will be controlled by institutional investors. That's part of the reason why we do diversify some of our investments internationally. How do we look at asset allocation? Well, when we look at asset allocation within a fund investment house, especially for QUAP, we look at two things. One is growth allocation against income allocation. Of course, being a pension fund, you must have a stable income allocation. At the same time, in ensuring the growth of the pension fund, we need also to allocate certain amount of money, a certain amount of fund towards growth allocation. In this case, it's about almost half. Half goes to growth, half goes to income allocation. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, 81% goes to domestic, 19% goes to international allocation. With regards to that, our current strategic asset allocation, the money that we allocate to each individual asset class for 2017, and we also look at this for a 3-year roadmap until 2020, is for equity about 40, for fixed income is about 44%, 40 to 44%, for equity about 36 to 40%, for alternative investment from 10 to 14%, as well as cash about 2%. And of course, within this range, we also have what we call a tactical asset allocation, where we can minus 7% and add in additional 7% on top of what is the strategic asset allocation that we have put in place. That's a bit about QUAP and what are the challenges that we are facing right now. Is that one, returns. Those are the challenges. I think all investment fraternities are having those challenges, be it on the Sharia platform as well as the conventional platform. Second is that, like what Abdul mentioned earlier, we need more development in terms of the Sharia space or Sharia investable investments. More mega banks, or for that matter, Jaafar mentioned about limits as far as risk management is concerned. Yes, we only have selected banks, which is within our risk allocation. So this would become a very good strategy. And of course, the depth of the market, that Idris mentioned this earlier, especially on the sukuk, domestically. There's depth there. Investors are basically just buying and keeping it till maturity. For QUAP, for instance, where we are right now in terms of our Sharia investment in totality, we are about almost 50%. The actual figure is actually 49.32%. And about 14% out of that is invested in sukuk, domestic sukuk. And we also have proper sukuk, almost 10%. Our money market, we outsource even to our external fund managers for fixing, for Sharia providing sukuk as well as for equity. That is also in order to help what we call to develop the market. With regards to wealth management, we are also actively involved in the new Blue Ocean strategy by the government, by advising government officers or employees of the government to start early in managing your asset as well as your liability. No doubt at the age of 60 or even if you take optional 55 or 58, you get a pension, or whether that pension is sustainable until your life. But if you look at it from this point of view, mortality rate now has actually gone up. So I don't know what's the average mortality age, 73 years old right now. This is due to the advanced technology in medication and health and so forth. So that's a bit about an overview of QUAP and what are we doing right now, what are the challenges, some of the challenges that we are facing in
Okay, okay, last but by no means least, we have our Dato Badlisyah, Ghani, who has joined in Tabung Haji as Deputy Chief Executive Officer in July, I think, July last year. And formerly he was CEO of CIIB, Islamic Bank, and when I think he was the youngest person actually to be appointed as a licensed bank in Malaysia at the tender age of 32. So Alhamdulillah, plenty of experience.
Tabung Haji within the four that is in front of you today are the smallest fund, but perhaps the oldest. We were established in 1963 as a savings institution to facilitate the savings for the performance of Hajj for the people of Malaysia. So that's essentially the objective of the establishment of Tabung Haji. We were effectively the first officially legislated and regulated Islamic financial institutions in the world. They were Islamic institutions before us, but they were not regulated by any financial regulator. They were not established within the financial market ecosystem. They were privately owned and they were operating as a trading house. And Tabung Haji is self-regulated. We are governed by the Lembaga Tabung Haji Act 1963 and subsequently amended in 1995. We started as an organization with 1,500 depositors with a deposit base of about 44,000. So that was on the first day of our launch way back in 1963. Today, we are 70 billion in terms of deposits with 9.1 million depositors from the youngest age of 1 day old to about 90 over. Right? So the depositors in Tabung Haji, you can become a depositor the moment that you are born, with a minimum deposit of 2 ringgit. We naturally operate in the same manner as every other statutory body manages people's fund. We have to make sure that our asset liability are properly matched. We need to make sure that we are fully diversified to hedge our risk profile. We have our own strategic asset allocation in the manner that has been described by all my colleagues here. We are, at this moment in time, looking at about 50% in public banking, 25% in fixed income, about 20% in private equity and other assets, 5% cash. So that's our strategy allocation. Of course, there are ranges in between that to allow us to do tactical decisions in terms of what we want to be exposed more to and what we want to be exposed less to at any point of time. The challenges that we face at Tabung Haji, they're naturally the same as everyone here. There are not enough assets to go up within the country. There are a lot of assets outside there, but a lot of challenges in terms of currencies, because our deposit is in ringgit, and investment abroad in foreign currency. The ability to hedge our currency risk is there, but fairly limited in sense of the Islamic finance ecosystem that are available in the different markets. You have the limitation of doing investment where there is a lack of Islamic or Sharia compliant leveraging options available in the markets that you want to invest in. As a result of it, you cannot optimize your returns in those markets as much as you would love to. And at the end of the day, there is a lot of financial acrobatic that you have to undertake in the new markets. And Tabung Haji has only recently went abroad in 2016. So it's very early days for Tabung Haji. And then, of course, when we went out, then the Malaysian ringgit depreciated against major currencies, and we had to put a little bit of a break to our foray overseas. As a result of it, predominantly our investment exposure is mainly in Malaysia. 99% of our exposure is in Malaysia, with less than 1% overseas. In terms of growth, Tabung Haji has been very focused in regards to two of our reasons for existence, which is we are focused more in the early days of our establishment on facilitating Hajj. Right? We did not focus so much in encouraging people to save the Haji. Because we have enough to go for Hajj, we will facilitate you to go for Hajj. And as a result of it, we found that our depositors, when they went for Hajj, they are still not economically sound, financially sound when they come back, because they actually only save for Hajj, do not save for anything else, right? And that is scary. So Tabung Haji then decided, okay, let's put equal focus on the management of our depositors' money as much as on managing the Hajj. So sometime in 2006, 2007, we enhanced our capacity to do investment management and started to go aggressive in raising more deposits from the public. We went on a campaign to have people increase their deposits. So from a base of only about 20 billion in 2006, we grew to where we are today, about 70 billion ringgit. And then we stopped because we found ourselves becoming a threat to the other Islamic financial institutions because the individual depositors just don't save anymore in Islamic banks as much as they should. As a result of it, Bank Negara also got concerned because if everyone goes to Tabung Haji and put their savings, then they won't save with Islamic banks. And Islamic banks require savings in order to manage their capital adequacy and the likes. So we stop so that we can allow the market to adjust accordingly, and as a result of it, the depositors begins to compare deposit rates again with the Islamic banks and not put every single cent that they have with Tabung Haji. We are fine with that because if we are to deliver a 5% hibah on a yearly basis, 1% today is 700 million ringgit. So we have to make quite a lot of money to deliver the desired hibah that people may have. So we are okay with that. But at the end of the day, one challenge is you cannot manage your costs effectively if you do not have scale, right? So you want to have a larger fund base in order to make sure that your cost is optimized, right? Because a sunk cost is a sunk cost. You have to incur the cost of withstanding the amount of money that you are managing. Right? So we are currently at a crossroad on whether or not to go back into market and grow aggressively. Having said that, even without doing anything, we closed the year in 2016 with 65 billion ringgit of deposit. As at the first quarter of this year, we are 70 billion. So without any marketing of any kind, without any effort in any of our 130 branches across the country in trying to convince our depositors to increase their deposit, our deposit base grew by 5 billion. And sometimes it creates concern unnecessarily across different parties within the financial market. In that, even without making any effort, we increase our deposit. Imagine if we had gone in and communicate our desire of having more of your money with Tabung Haji. In terms of the performance, Tabung Haji has been profitable from inception. We have never made a loss in any year. We have always delivered strong hibah or gift to our depositors from inception. The highest hibah that we have ever given was 6% for the ordinary savings, and additional 3% bonus for those who have not gone for Hajj in a particular year. So altogether 9%. And the lowest we have ever given is about 5% in total. Right? The idea of Tabung Haji was very simple: facilitate the individual Muslims to go for Hajj through savings. It's a very simple idea. It is not important the savings institution. It is therefore a organization with a single product offering. We just have deposit. Although our Act of Parliament allows for us to have multiple products. We can do savings and we can do investment products. So moving forward, Tabung Haji is considering to do more investment products on top of our savings product. Our savings product is very unique. Most probably not only unique in Malaysia but the rest of the world. So it is the only product, savings product anywhere in the world that are 100% guaranteed by the government. So for every dollar or for every ringgit that a depositor puts in Tabung Haji, it is 100% guaranteed that you will get that 1 ringgit back at the end of the day, no matter what happened to Tabung Haji. Right? Of course, the guarantee is only on the principle that are placed with Tabung Haji, not the returns. The IIiBF, they have 2.5% guaranteed returns, and we don't have that. We only guarantee the deposit amount that you place with the Tabung Haji itself. So what it means is it is a zero risk investment. if you want to call it. And when you put it side by side with a savings product in a bank, it is far superior. Because not only is it a savings product in Tabung Haji, it is a savings product with investment returns. It is not a saving product with savings returns. The return that you have in Tabung Haji is far more superior than a return of a savings account in an Islamic bank. So it has the feature of an investment account, although it is not an investment account. Right? In an investment account in a bank, you run the risk of losing your whole principal. Right? But in Tabung Haji, you get investment returns with zero risk. Right? So the dilemma at Tabung Haji is if we go into the market and push our product to depositors, every single Muslims in this country, there is roughly about 18 million of the 18-20 million of the Malaysian population, will move their money into Tabung Haji. May even move their money from PNB or anything else, right? And that is a possibility, right? And as a result of it, it jeopardizes the operations of other organizations. And so when we decide something to do with the Haji, we have to bear in mind other organizations as well and the impact that it will have on them. I think I'll stop there so that we can have discussions.
So I think I'm going to try to open up to the floor with some questions, but I'm just going to ask one or two quick questions, if I may. Perhaps I will start with the PNB. I think when I was reading through the security solution blueprint earlier, I noticed that the security solutions themselves kind of recognised that Malaysia was doing very, very well in the fund management industry. But it was the wealth management side of it which they were looking to push. They noticed that there's $9.5 trillion US of global wealth, of global Muslim wealth, which is currently being intermediated by conventional financial institutions. And for any sort of wealth manager, that would translate to about maybe 180 billion US dollars of fee income. So, of course, in Malaysia we have, Singapore and Hong Kong. But how do you plan to react to that? Would you? And I think obviously you want a very comprehensive lifestyle suite of products for the retail investor. How about for the high net worth investor? And how would you plan to do that? Either organically within PNB, or do you encourage through your subsidiaries?
Increase the participation of group travel in the corporate sector of Malaysia. We still carry the objective. And secondly is to encourage participation by the group travel community through unit trust in the corporate world. So we are covered by the two objectives. So I think we will be combine our activities towards Malaysia economy, because low investors in most of the deals are only for Malaysia. That means we are not going to raise money somewhere or outside of Malaysia, that's one. But on the other hand, that we could be investors in other countries globally, be it in Muslim countries or Europe, US, Japan, or China, that we are doing that now. But to increase the participations of the, maybe have a lot of subsidiaries or counting that economics, I think probably that's the best way that we can do. Maybank have Lembaga as a reach all over the region. And the other sides, they have also the branches to handle this. We would encourage them to increase the space of their asset management or unit trust investment internationally. And that's exactly what they are doing at the moment now. So I think not necessarily we'll be doing that because we have our own work, which is different from lending. This is a pure commercial investment. It's within the 20% strategic asset allocation. And we invest across different industries. And I'm sure the other funds are doing the same thing. But we probably have been doing it longer. But not many people realize actually we invest because recently some MPs question why we invest in unlisted entities. But we have been doing that for years. And at the end of the day, it's about, in Islamic finance, it's about doing real economy activities, right? It's not just about investing in financial assets. So we own properties across Malaysia as well as the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. We own
You've got hotels,
shipping companies.
So quite diversified, right?
And we will continue to do so.
I enjoyed staying at the Haji Hotel in Ghani. So excellent 4-star when I was staying there.
Thank you for the review.
Good. Okay. In fact, I think I'm going to open it up because I noticed that we're pressing up against our deadline.
Thank you to all presenters. I think this is the most excellent opportunity IIBF has got to put all the major funds of the country on one table. I don't know about risk management. Putting everybody in one room, you know. The best minds, alhamdulillah. I think if I can start a little bit, I think what we are discussing these 2 days is a paradigm shift actually. From, if I can describe, financing past consumption to saving or investment for future consumption. I think at the end of the day we define investment as future consumption in terms of time variation. But going further, I also begin to ask questions like, we are individual here, we are just a person on the street. I'm the depositor, I'm the unit holder, I'm also the fund contributor, whether pension fund or pension fund for the employers, whether is it the EF. And I'm also the policy holder. So the ordinary man in the street has got so many decisions to make. And sometimes he gets, and of course the Hajj fund contributor also at the end. So it's a question of priority ranking and financial planning. But one thing that I begin to realize is what we are missing here is the takaful fund. The one that actually protects interest, especially when takaful cost has been rising and individuals are feeling hurt. We learned a very little lesson about PTPTN when we started refinancing. Now we're moving to investment so that we become so-called more financially literate to prepare the future. But I feel the next, if we're not careful, will be the takaful costs. I don't know whether this could be picked up by the GLCs and take the lead in terms of course, overall Asset Sharia and how we could go further. Thank you.
And you're directing that on that side.
At the end of the day, whatever investment that people take or debt that they take, it all boils down to proper financial planning. Right? And the problem in Malaysia today is that we do not do financial planning. By right from the day that you are born, our parents should start doing financial planning for us. That is not done. Right? So what I think to resolve issues on a you can't look at issues on a product by product basis. Right? You have to look at it as a portfolio. Each individual must have a portfolio, whether it is a composition of a zero risk investment with the momentum
debt, you have to have exposure on other, you have to have risk tools that you want to get, like Dato and other products and whatever not that you want to have. So again, it's about encouraging people to plan their financial effectively. So we have at Tabung Haji all kinds of depositors, from the mass market to high net worth individuals who have maybe a deposit with Tabung Haji, or you have the minimum deposit of 2 ringgit. So what we have identified is that most of them do not plan their financials. Either they have 100% of their cash with the Haji, or they have the most minimal amount with everything else in other institutions, which is also a similar product, savings account, right, instead of in other asset classes. They don't do financial planning. So moving forward, to me the biggest challenge for individuals, we are all here institutional planners, right? We manage individuals' money, but the individual themselves are relying too heavily on, say, the 4 institutions that we have here today, without thinking on what they want to do with us. Right? I have run IIiBF, I have run IIIBF, I have run IIIBF, that's it. Right? They think they have solved all their financial needs when not really when people finish and retire. They don't have enough money more than 1 year. Right? There's no financial. So, I get the issue that you're raising, but the problem with that, a lot of us individuals, we just don't plan. And as a result of it, we say, takaful is expensive, investing in DNE is expensive, investing in Tabung Haji. Tabung Haji, for example, we have 0 cost charge to customers. Right? We don't charge them to go for Hajj, we don't charge them to do their banking or savings transaction in Tabung Haji. So as when they withdraw money, they withdraw for free. Right? All the services that Tabung Haji provide for them to go for Hajj, the people that we send to accompany them are not charged to them. They only pay for their accommodation, they only pay for their transport and their food. That's it. Right? Everything else is free and we subsidize them. Right? And with that, it's okay. But at the end of the day, we do things without thinking. That's the unfortunate thing when it comes to financial planning among Malaysians.
So retirees can go to branches and get some financial advice. But for the takaful, yes, as I said just now, we are looking also in terms of how we can, in terms of the medical, how we can provide that to our members. We are still studying because I said we have 7 million active members. To provide takaful or insurance for all of them is really very high in terms of the premium. But we are studying on that because we are looking into other models of other countries like Singapore or not, to the possibility of introducing that and synergizing with the insurance industry.
Just now during your presentation, you mentioned there are share compliant assets even 2010 actually, so it's growing until 2015, and also you mentioned that like 99.5% is like Malaysian. So meaning that I'm to the 0.5% category actually. Okay, so my question is, so during the beginning period, let's say it's 2010 until 2015, just 1 period, how you define the share compliant assets? My point is, because the contributors is you didn't segregate at that time actually. So how you define this, then how you handle when you come to the dividend. You combine the one Sharia compliant and the non-Sharia compliant together, then you distribute, or how you distribute the dividend actually. Thank you.
And that year onwards, we actively look into Sharia investments versus conventional instruments. Before that, we just invest, regardless conventional or Sharia. But after 2010, we consciously invest and try to look into Sharia investment, okay? Because we have SEC and SEC advisors as well accordingly. And from there onwards, but of course, until now, dividend is still mixed, conventional and Islamic. The first Sharia dividend will be declared next year in 2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah. But until now, until 2017, it's still a combination of conventional Islamic income. But after 2018, we'll have 2 dividends. And I believe after 2018, that will be the benchmark lah. People will see and compare conventional and Islamic dividend. If it is Islamic dividend, then higher, then people will come more. Maybe, inshallah, because at the end of the day, religion is not as important as return, I suppose. Because we have 4 million members. We have 4 million members. And we have only 700,000 only opted for Simpanan Sharia. I personally am a bit disappointed, but that's the reality. Thank you.
Again on the takaful, I remember that I've been working with Maldives, what we call it, government, to come out. What they wanted to do it was about few years ago, of which they would like to ensure that all of their people have takaful medical. Everyone. This is something that I think is very good moving forward. I do understand certain concern that what we call it, Dato Badlisyah mentioned just now. It's just that to me, that's moving forward. Maybe the retirement fund should be thinking of this, because this where you have already the ready fund. But once we are no longer the staff, we are no longer the employee for the universities and whatnot. So not everyone are having their medical, what we call it, takaful. So, I mean that this is something for us to think about. And then I think what we have, what government of Maldives have done is very good. In fact, because they ensure everyone, even though it's very small amount of takaful, but everyone are covered basically. That is maybe more on gender, what we call observation on that. The second one is on Sharia governance for Islamic capital market fund managers, particularly because we are addressing now fund management. We can see that this is in capital market. We don't have one standard Sharia governance framework as compared to banking. Okay, we do understand the best practice of many fund managers of adopting this. I would say Sharia governance framework issued by Bank Negara. But there are many out there, fund managers who are still unclear about Sharia governance, whether they are practicing, they are adopting or not, whether they are effective or not. Okay, we can see that from PNB, Co-op, and then all the Tabung Haji and whatnot. You may be good. I would say you may be good in the Sharia governance, but what is your thinking? I mean that of course this is something that to me we should be moving forward. Is there any concern of having this model similar like what Bank Negara is giving or is imposing to Islamic banks and takaful operators, for example, of having a standards? Or is it because of you are very different in nature in terms of the complexity of your business and whatnot? Are you looking forward for this, what we call it, having a good Sharia governance, what we call it, framework? To me, it's very easy, very what we call it. The simple objective is that transparency, because all investors, even though my auntie who is in the kampung, they need to know that everything is Sharia compliant. As simple as that. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
So for Tabung Haji, our Sharia governance is embedded within our act. we have to do everything in a consistent manner with Sharia. If not, we will be against the Act, and we are self-regulated. We are not regulated by any other body other than Parliament itself. So at the end of the day, our customers take comfort that if we are in breach of our Act, all of us will be sacked. Right? So it's as simple as that. I can't speak for the rest of the institutions, so you have to ask them. But as far as Tabung Haji,
For
100%
IIiBF,
sure.
we have for the Fund Managers and the Securities Commission. But for us, we IIiBF, we are governed under MOF. What also, right? MOF. Agreement. But PNB, I'm not sure under what? From Guideline Unit Trust. So, different stakeholders.
For co-op, I think like Tabung Haji as well as like IIiBF, we are governed under the Parliament Act. So who are our stakeholders are basically MOF. Of course, we don't have a Sharia council, but what we do help is also, we help to develop in the sense that we have to develop other parties, third parties, for example, the fund managers under the SC regulation, Capital Market Services Act, if I'm not mistaken, and the Islamic, is that for unit trust, Islamic or Sharia, Islamic unit trust, you need to have an independent Sharia advisory, which indirectly falls back to SC Sharia advisory. Same goes with Bank Negara. So we do have all these things, and we do have counterparties with all these parties here, and we do use banks, asset management to advise us and so forth. And if you look at investment domestically here in Malaysia, if you look at equity investment, for example, you have Bursa, you have SC that list out the Sharia counters that is Sharia compliance. I think every quarterly or something like that. Same goes with bonds. Same goes with bank products. There would definitely be Sharia proclamation to each particular product. So we rely on that as far as court is concerned. And of course, currently our asset is about 50% in Sharia compliant, and we aim to bring it up higher and higher and higher. The only problem here is basically timing. When is the right time? I mean, giving for us, I think IIiBF and everyone here, is that we not only invest here in Malaysia domestically, but we do invest abroad. And domestic is very simple because the government, the regulators, have make it simple for us. And they say, look, this sukuk is Sharia compliant, this equity is Sharia compliant, this banking deposit or current account is Sharia compliant. Makes easy for us. But if let's say if you go to Australia, for example, and a good example for me, for us, is that we have a property in Australia, and we want to do refinancing in Australia. And when we look at the composition of the tenant that we have in Australia, of course, when we look at it and we ask the bank, and the bank says this is almost Sharia compliant, we say, okay, let's do Sharia compliant financing. Let's develop Sharia compliant financing. But unfortunately, when this thing happens, the structure is Sharia compliant, but the law in Australia doesn't cover for that. So we try our best, at least we try our best to make it that as Sharia. Like I said, if you look at domestically, I don't see any problem with Sharia compliant investments. And from what Dato Badlisyah mentioned, since 1963, Dato, the emergence of Tabung Haji, and back in 1983, correct me if I'm wrong, the emergence of Bank Islam, and another decade, 1993, where the merchant banks, the investment banks, the discount houses you have the Islamic window. So it has gone a long way, and I think we still have a long way to go to develop. Like what Dr. mentioned about takaful, if you would to look at takaful industry in totality vis-a-vis the conventional insurance, the growth has been tremendous for takaful compared to the conventional insurance. I was working with Maybank prior to this and managing the Etika Takaful Fund as well. We can see premiums coming in like crazy. So whether you want to push it or not, that's up to the individual entity. But now is basically to get the ecosystem domestically and most importantly internationally to accept Sharia financing, private equity, venture capital is actually a good way. That's pure musyarakah in that sense. That is,
In fact, that's what we were discussing last year, wasn't it?
Right,
And
right.
Private equity is a great way to develop infrastructure funds.
Yes, unit trust or fund management. As far as possible, we will adopt whatever SC or Bernegara Sharia approved investments that they have. But we do have our panel of Sharia advisors, PMB, voluntarily to guide us on the investments, even to overseas private equity and so on. So our best practice, how to adopt those investments that follow the Sharia ways, even internationally. And as it is now, I think the mandate to us is that going overseas, we only invest in Sharia approved investment governed by Dow Jones or FTSE or the Morgan Stanley Index, Islamic Index. So moving forward, we will just invest in Islamic products overseas. For our property as much as possible, we have also a problem now leveraging the borrowing overseas because there's no available funds, Islamic fund or lender overseas. So as much as possible, we try in the private equity space also, we try to as much as possible follow the Sharia ways of investing. We seek the guidance of the Sharia panel from time to time whenever we invest overseas or local. Thank you very much.
I have a question to Dato Badlisyah. I would like to take up on Dr. Rusni's questions on SGF just now, and I would like to elaborate more. As we know, SGF is, since Lembaga Tabung Haji has been since the 1960s, and SGF was just introduced in 2010. And I would like to highlight the two target of SGF is basically the board to oversight and Sharia compliance aspect of Islamic finance institutions, and also they have this mainly for activities such as Sharia audit, Sharia research, Sharia risk, and Sharia review. Of course, Dato, since you've been in the banking line before, you're aware of this. And I would like to ask Dato Badlisyah whether this type of governance, Sharia governance framework, is it applicable not only to the Lembaga Tabung Haji? Of course, you've answered in Tabung Haji that in the Act is there, everything must be in accordance with Sharia principles. But then this SGF ensure that transactions, every transaction is according to Sharia principles or Sharia compliant, if I can say. So, in your own view, since you've been in the bank previously and also now in the GLC, can GLCs adopt this type of approach since it works in a similar way whereby we take deposits or investment from depositors and trying to provide returns in a Sharia compliant manner to the Muslims or others? Thank you.
Thanks for the question. As far as the framework is concerned, it can be equally applicable in any institution, whether they are GLCs, GLCs, or private institutions. Right? The difference with banking sector is that in the past, the board of directors just refused to take responsibility. And as a result of it, you just have to regulate it and force onto the board of directors of financial institutions to take responsibility and accountability on Sharia. So that's to a certain extent the difference. So to me, any institution who are honest in their intention to do Sharia compliant business must have within their operation SGF, right, to help them manage their business consistently with Sharia. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Dear brothers and sisters, I think we should break for our morning break. So I would like to, I think it's a rare opportunity actually to have our esteemed panelists here with us today representing all of the Malaysian senior pension and investment funds. So we're very grateful for you all to take time out from your busy schedules to come and share your experiences and plans for the future. Alhamdulillah. Please, everybody, please give them a warm round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, as our gratitude for all panelists and moderator, I now would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Dr. Syed Musa Al-Habshi, Dean of IIiBF, welcome Chairman of the Forum to present token of appreciation. Please welcome. Next, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Dato Badlisyah Abdul Ghani from Tabung Haji. Dan Yang Berbahagia Encik Jaafar RIhan from Kumpulan Simpanan Wan Pekerja. Next, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Encik Azmeen Adnan from Kumpulan Wang Persaraan. Last but not least, our moderator, Yang Berbahagia Dr. Abdullah from IIiBF. Thank you very much.
And also universities, please continue, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It gives me a great pleasure to be here back again. I'm also an alumni, so I did my postgraduate studies here, across the street. So assets amounting to 735 billion ringgit, with a market cap of 83.5 billion. The largest bank in Malaysia by total assets, the top 3 Islamic bank in terms of global sukuk league table. We have over 2,500 offices in 20 countries and presence in 10 Asian countries since 1960. Now that is a bank. With regards to the asset management, we're part of an asset management group. So we have conventional arm, Islamic arm where I did. We also have a private equity entity house under the group as well. And we have operating entities in terms of asset management both in Singapore as well as in Indonesia. Now, for the benefit of the audience today, I'd just like to share my limited observations in terms of where the industry is headed. Now, in line with our topic of enhancing competition among the industry players. So my colleagues on the table may echo some of the points that I mentioned. Please bear with me. Now, in terms of trends, there are several broad trends that is happening across the industry in terms of fund management and also wealth management globally. I will share this part today, which I think is highly relevant for today's discussion. The 5 key trends are 1, competition, 2, shifts in investor behavior, 3, brand identity, 4, technology, and also refocusing of core strengths. I'll try to elaborate one by one briefly. 1. So competition in this business will create innovation. Now we know investor base now are a bit smarter. They are increasingly price sensitive and are more so sophisticated in terms of cost, what benchmarks to use, and also the investment strategies. Now to compete, firms like us now have to invest in innovation. We have to re-evaluate how we distribute our products. We have to create product differentiation between one another and also build our brand identity.
Expensive human analysts and marry that with scalable technology. Now we also see under technology the rise of robo-advisors. The improvements on computing power are making robo-advisors a bit more viable for retail and also institutional investors. So we expect to see fiduciary standards and regulations to drive the adoption of robo-advisors. We see it even now in Malaysia under the SC ruling. The third part under technology is robotic process automation. Increasingly, fund management firms and also wealth management firms are employing process automation to streamline both operations at the front and also back office. These robotic process automation can actually automate critical tasks that actually normally require manual intervention that is performed frequently and also consumes significant amount of time, such as client onboarding and compliance. Now, the last of my emerging trends is basically focusing on core strength. Now, the large firms, even ourselves, the small ones, are re-evaluating our presence in the market and refocusing on our core strength. We are seeing a trend where most non-core functions inside the fund management or wealth management will be under review, will be under consideration for outsourcing, because that's not our specialty. Many middle to back office activities will be consolidated or moved into business processing or business outsource models. There will be also a need, continuous need to evaluate product lines, to rationalize the products where we don't have in-house expertise. Maybe explore opportunities on sub-advisory basis with partners which has capacity offshore. You know, for example, my colleagues on the table. Again, the 5 key trends are competition, shift in investor base or investor behavior rather, brand identity, technology, and also refocusing on the cost. Thank you very much.
Yatis Ventures partner award-winning SME P2P platform capitalboost.com, scholarfund.com, a donation platform to support university students, as well as yemenaids.com to provide solar power to school in Yemen. Yatis Venture operates other platforms including wakafworld.org, a global wakaf platform with founding patron Tun Abdullah Badawi, Malaysian 5th Prime Minister. Munshi sit on the board of Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce, as is the Singapore representative of the TDA and Indonesian community of 20,000 entrepreneurs. We welcome him to give his insight into the topic, focusing more, I believe, on Islamic crowdfunding. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you for the detailed introduction. Now, I'm given about an hour. Is that right? Okay, I can take 3 hours to talk about this, but I have to squeeze it into 15 minutes. Inshallah, I try to be brief and to the point. So, my name is Umar Munshi. Yatis Ventures, or originally it was just called Yatis, started 3 years ago. Yatis is a combination of 2 words, ethical and Islamic. Of course, the purists would say that Islamic already means ethical, but the rest of the world doesn't seem to know that very well, which is why we need to reinforce on the term ethical. Yeah. So the focus today is on Islamic crowdfunding, and before I continue with the slides, I think it's important for me to get a feel of the level of awareness or understanding in this room. How many? But I believe there was an equity crowdfunding session yesterday. But in any case, how many of you know what is crowdfunding? No. How many of you know what's crowdfunding? If you raise your hand, I'll ask you a question. No? Yeah. Okay, so alhamdulillah, most people are already familiar. I don't need to go into too much detail. Okay, thank you. One of the slogans or phrases that we like to use is circulate good. Right? What we intend to do and what we're trying to do with the community, inshallah, is to circulate good, circulate resources, circulate wealth, and have a positive impact. Right now, we find ourselves in a leading position in the sense that Islamic crowdfunding is almost non-existent. That is the unfortunate reality, but it's better late than never. And alhamdulillah, in the past 1 year especially, there's been a lot of new startups in the Islamic fintech space. We have an alliance called the Islamic Fintech Alliance. It's a loose group of collaborators from around the world. And alhamdulillah, we're quite connected to the industry. And there's a lot of promising startups emerging and initiatives emerging. So inshallah, I'm looking forward to a very exciting 1-2 years ahead where we see a lot of growth for Islamic fintech and crowdfunding. For us specifically, our focus is crowdfunding. And I just want to make make it a little bit clear, sometimes the word crowdfunding is thrown around. What we do is non-equity crowdfunding as well as donation. I'll explain in more detail later. Yep. Oh yeah, now. So this is our focus. We have 2 main focuses. One is ethical investment and the other one is sustainable philanthropy. We are attempting to build an ecosystem. Once we realize that we have this unique opportunity to build an ecosystem or to build ecosystems for Muslims, we decided let's try and do as much as we can given our limited resources. And Alhamdulillah, I think we've managed to accomplish many breakthroughs, many milestones. We are by no means big or large or successful yet. We are still very early stage. But Alhamdulillah, we have unique track record and unique pilot projects that is difficult to find, especially if you're looking at Islamic focused crowdfunding. So our main platform is Ethis Crowd. I'll talk about that a bit more. Capital Boost and Sekolah Fund are the other two platforms within our circle that have good traction. So you can go to capitalboost.com. We do murabaha financing for SMEs, like direct purchases of assets for SMEs. For Sekolah Fund, it emerged out of UIA. There's a student here who founded Sekolah Fund, and we are working together now. It provides donations to students for university fees. The rest are new initiatives, inshallah. We are always experimenting and looking for new models that people need, that the community needs. So what's crowdfunding? It's very simple. This is how it is applied. We have the global ummah, and the global ummah has resources. The global ummah also has needs, right? And typically, in the past few decades at least, we go to the bank to store money, and the bank then decides what happens to that money. The difference now is that we get to directly decide what we want to do or what you want to do with your money through platforms, right? Without going through so-called a financial intermediary. A platform is meant to facilitate. Of course, depending on the regulatory environment, the extent of responsibility of the platform will vary. Yeah? For ethiscrowd.com, our model is very simple and very clear. The money, whatever money is, goes straight to projects. We are just a matchmaker. Right? We're just an informative portal, a platform for our crowd. Yeah? So, inshallah, money can be channeled towards investment, towards sadaqah, towards zakat, and cash wakaf. Something that I want to highlight that's very interesting is if you were to search about crowdfunding online, you will see that the big crowdfunding platforms are in the West. In China, there are a lot of huge P2P or debt crowdfunding platforms, but most of the more prominent ones are in the US. Last year, it is estimated that the industry is about $200 billion in size, which is quite significant. Yeah? And the cool thing is from when you look at it once, but when you think about it, it becomes a bit sad. How does something cool become sad? What I'm trying to say is we have, for example, a Card Hasan platform that has done close to $1 billion with 98% repayment. Have you heard of that? No, Card Hasan crowdfunding? No, because it's not called Card Hasan. It's called Kiva. Right? So Kiva is an example. They basically do zero interest loans. Nothing Islamic about their intention maybe. Right? They are non-Muslims and their motive is to help. But the way they are doing it is very much what we learn in Islamic finance, which is that if it's a loan, it's supposed to be benevolent, right? Another example, simple example that you can find in fintech outside of crowdfunding, if you talk about takaful, right? Takaful, just go to lemonade.com. It's not a drink shop, it's an insurance tech platform, one of the hottest ones in the US, and watch their 1-minute video, and you will realize they're telling me what takaful is all about, but they don't know the word takaful. My point is, with technology, we can really implement what we learn in Islamic finance directly to communities. And the Western world is doing that without considering or knowing or even bothering that it's Islamic, because they're doing it based on logic. Yeah? So that's one thing I want to highlight, but I can't dwell too long on this slide because we have many slides. So why Islamic crowdfunding? Here, this is what I was mentioning earlier. Direct investment or donation into real-world projects. You can use non-bank Islamic finance models, whatever models that you like, we can try to implement it with technology. We aggregate and empower investors. In our first 3 years, we focused purely on retail. In the past 3 months, we've been focused on lead investors or high net worth investors and retail. Right? So we are bringing in different levels or different sources of funds and aggregating them together. Yeah? Social, religious impact, because you choose what you want to where and how you want to channel your money. Transparency, of course. In the Muslim world, when you talk about transparency in social finance, it's a disaster. it's really a disaster. How we manage zakat, sadaqah, wakaf, it's incredibly, it is quite bad, honestly. And all of you probably know that better than me. So we need transparency, we need accountability. How do we do that? Through market, in this case, through market pressure, right? To positive market pressure. Really Muslim demographic. The Muslim population is young. The Muslim population is fast emerging. Still definitely low income, but emerging. The Muslim population is digital. The demographics are right for Islamic fintech to happen and to grow fast. Yep. Okay, so what do we do at ETHIS? Our core is social housing projects in Indonesia. Yeah, I'll explain a little bit more later. Alhamdulillah, ethiscrowd.com has been running for 3 years out of Singapore. We are not regulated in Singapore. As a matchmaker in Singapore, we are not required to obtain a license. In Indonesia and in Brunei, they treat us differently. Every jurisdiction treats us differently because what we are doing is very much in a grey area for a lot of regulators. Yeah? In Indonesia, it's a specific license for P2P that we, inshallah, should be getting in the near future, as well as in Brunei. Yeah? In Malaysia last year, in November, we were a joint venture company that we are part of, was awarded a license by the Securities Commission, and inshallah we're working to get it off the ground. Yeah? Anyway, I want to focus on this. Our main focus is social housing projects, right? Not because that is what I like, but how we grew and evolved is based on market response. And over time, we realized very quickly that people were interested to invest in real estate, especially if there's a social impact. Yeah, so these two unique positives come together. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, we go on trips, we look at the estates that we built behind this group. You can see the houses. It looks a bit superimposed here, but that is real. We went there about 2 years ago. I will highlight some of the things that we have accomplished, but I need to move through quickly. Alhamdulillah, we have good support from prominent individuals, especially in Malaysia, in the Islamic economy. Tan Sri Ali Hashim on the left, some of you may be very familiar with him, of Awqaf Holdings, Tun Abdullah Badawi, Alhamdulillah, Tan Sri No Yaakob. Right now, we have investors from 25 countries, small amounts from all around the world. You can really see the Muslim Ummah coming together online. We are surprised to see people from everywhere, places that you wouldn't think of. Recently, there were a lot of investors from Germany, for example. Yeah, so mashallah, it's very interesting, and this thing just spreads on its own online, mostly. We have offices in Southeast Asia. Sorry. Yeah. This year, we are doing some outreach work with other markets. You can see on the top right, a familiar-looking gentleman. Some of you may know him, Brother Aminu. That's in Nigeria, in Jeddah, in Tunisia, and those are our partners in Brunei. So my point, I just wanted to share that Alhamdulillah, there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of attraction to what we do, and to Alhamdulillah, we got some awards. The main thing is, one thing that I really want to highlight to all of you is that the value that we are trying to create is only as large or as significant as the community that is supporting all these efforts. Right? A platform, a crowdfunding platform is worth nothing without a crowd. And the crowd that we have right now, alhamdulillah, about 20,000 people have been very supportive of everything that we do. But imagine if we can grow that crowd to 200,000, to 2 million, to 2 billion. And the kind of things that we can do for ourselves, inshallah, will be incredible. On the left, you can see the Islamic Fintech Alliance. It was launched in Malaysia a year ago. Yep. We work closely with universities. Our team right now is half UIA, half INSEAD, coincidentally, more or less, except for me, who did not graduate. I just want to highlight a little bit of what we do, why we are focused on social housing. Sometimes people ask me, how do you make money from the poor? Right? Is it right to make money from the poor? Well, if you don't make money when you help the poor, who's going to help the poor? Right? And that is very true. It needs to be sustainable. A business is only useful if it is sustainable. Yeah? So as much as there is good, strong social impact, right? Alhamdulillah, money is still made. And for us non-Indonesians, the margins are still good. if you talk to an Indonesian real estate developer, he'll say, not interesting, because high-end makes more money for me. But for us, for non-Indonesians, the margin is still very big. You cannot get this kind of margins in Singapore or even in Malaysia. You know, so because it's such a strongly developing country, there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah. Let me explain to you a little bit more later on. These are two housing estates that were funded by the crowd. On the right side, you can see Kampung Islami Toiba. About 3 million ringgit went into that. Everything came from the crowd. On the left side, the developer built one phase and the crowd built the second phase, or funded the building of the second phase. That was about 1 million ringgit. So Alhamdulillah, the one on the left is almost fully paid out. The one on the right is partially paid out. So it is working, the model is proven, the model is happening, and inshallah we're scaling up right now. This is the unfortunate situation of many children in Indonesia. They tend to live in temporary housing, or an entire family would rent a room in another person's house. So this is a problem. Home ownership in many studies has been proven to help people break out, to help families break out of the poverty cycle. And that's what we want to accomplish, inshallah. This is how we work. Sorry. Okay, I have about 4 more slides, so I hope you don't mind. This is how we work. We do typically a mudarabah between the investor and the project owner, right? But before that, let's just follow the numbers. Number one, how things are done in Indonesia is sort of like a project financing approach, where for every project, a new company, or sometimes you call it an SPV, is set up. And in this SPV, we have one of our developer friends in Indonesia and a real estate development company that we own in Indonesia, right? So we, on that side, on the Indonesian side, we will be a party to every project SPV. This is to ensure that we have control over the finance flow. Secondly, there is a mudarabah between the crowd, a non-equity mudarabah, profit and loss sharing, between the crowd and the SPV. That's how it works. How about currency? It's not shown here. For currency, we issue a wa'ad, a currency wa'ad, a promise to hedge the currency at a certain rate that is set up front. We go on to number 5. So what happens next is that the money is typically used to construct part of the project. Yeah. So give you some numbers in Singapore dollars. A typical project, let's say, costs $10 million. Yeah? And we contribute $1 million to speed up, to bridge some portions of the project. Upon completion of units, the Islamic bank, BTN Sharia, will come in with the purchase, because they do the Islamic mortgage. They will buy it and then they will sell it to the end users. And all of this is subsidized by the government. The government provides support to the bank, yeah? Which is why they can provide mortgage or Islamic financing to the low-income families. Yeah? So what drives this is actually that sum of money that the government has allocated for the bank to provide home financing. Yeah? And because of that, it is a viable business. If left entirely to the market, it is very difficult for these low-income people to get financing for their home. So alhamdulillah, we have originally we stumbled across this, but then we have spent more than a year and a half really exploring and analyzing this opportunity. And alhamdulillah, I think we have a model that is very useful and maybe can be duplicated in other parts of the world. I'm quite lucky. When I first started Ethis, this company was just set up last month. But when I started Ethis 3 years ago, we had like probably negative credibility. I don't have any finance or real estate or even tech experience. I'm an entrepreneur trying out something new. But alhamdulillah, over time, as we start to gain momentum and as we start to have a crowd supporting us, more and more quality, proper, qualified people come forward. In this case, I want to highlight the gentleman on the top left. He's a retired banker, former director of Bank Danamon, DBS bank entity in Indonesia, 30 years in Islamic finance, now is retired. And this elderly gentleman actually already had a fintech exit. He really invested in something and go and exit. So when I met him to talk to him about fintech, he said, "Oh, I know about fintech. I already invested, and within 6 months, somebody bought me out." His company was acquired. Old man. He's about 70-something years old. So, mashallah, Indonesia is very vibrant. So he invested in us, and he's a very useful, very supportive gentleman. Top right, Maritz Mansour. He's my friend from Singapore. He has 20 years in private equity. Before this, he had, you can see the green box there. He had he ran a Sharia compliant data center fund, which was acquired by GLC and listed in 2015, $1.2 billion. So alhamdulillah, there's all these quality people coming forward, people with huge experience that I will take many, many years together, coming forward to be involved in what we are doing. And I think there is a sign of change, that quality is stepping forward, and inshallah, this will have a lot of benefit to the ummah. 3 more slides. Indonesia, when you go down to the ground in a developing country, you need to be close to the social circles, especially in this case the religious circles. So there's the National Association of Housing, Digital Entrepreneur. I want to talk a little bit about Ustaz Yusuf Mansour and Haji Alai. These are both religious leaders. Haji Alai is a self-made multimillionaire ustaz who owns a few thousand stalls. And his main activity is da'wah. But while doing da'wah, he can't keep doing da'wah because he has a business running. You know, there's a business supporting his activities. Instead of sometimes, unfortunately, ustaz have to ask around and, in a sense, beg for money. You know, so this was, I believe, a tradition in Muslim civilization in the past also, where religious leaders have a source of income. Ustaz Yusuf is amazing. Look for him on YouTube. You'll be amazed at his following. He has more than 10 million followers on social media, and he is creating his own revolution, mashallah. He also has a payment gateway that has more than 1 million users right now. It's the 3rd largest payment gateway in Indonesia, called Paytran, paytren.co.id. So alhamdulillah, that's what we do. Social impact investments, our main core platform, although we have Sedekah and other platforms. And I just want to share this hadith. A believer, the believer to the believer is like the bricks of a wall, enforcing each other. So if we come together and we are strong together, we reinforce each other, it's very difficult to push us down. But when there are gaps and there's holes, and we're not coming together properly, then it becomes very weak. The foundations are weak. I'm not here saying I'm starting a revolution or anything like that. I just stumbled across a concept that works for us, that works for me. And 20,000 people agree. So if you think this is something interesting, and I think you should, do find out more, do learn more. On Facebook, on YouTube, we have short educational videos done by someone familiar to some of you named Ahmad Sabri, who used to be here in UIA, and now he's with us as a Sharia consultant. So do check it out, and thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Omar. Very interesting. A lot of things I think you want to ask later. Oh, Sabri joined you. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Good to hear that some of our students are also, doing good thing in the market, alhamdulillah. I know all of you are doing good thing anyway. I'm not saying that you're not going to do good thing in the market. Okay, let's go for the third one. They are doing very good things. Yeah, Mustafa is one of them. Anyway, let's go to the last one. Last but not least, Brother Mustafa Idemir from Satuna Capital Sunyan Berhad. Is very interesting outlet. International-based entity operating in Malaysia as well. Want to hear from them. Let me put a brief introduction of Mustafa. Some of the word in Germany I find it very difficult for me to pronounce. I try my best. Mustafa Idemir, Senior Investment Analyst, joined Satuna in March 2017. Born in, Germany. He graduated from University of Esslingen, right? Esslingen. Excuse me with the pronunciation, with a degree in industrial engineering. Mustafa previously worked in the business consulting practice of Arthur Andersen in Stuttgart and the technology consulting division at SAP in Waldorf. Okay, Germany. Following the sun, he then moved. Wow, following the sun, my God. Following the sun, he then moved to the Arabian Gulf, working in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain for major oil and gas companies, including Aramco, Sabic, and JPIC. He's now with Setuna Capital. Please, Brother Mustafa.
It's very difficult to continue a presentation after such an emotional pledge, rescuing the world, rescuing the Ummah, showing a lot of solutions to a lot of problems we have. And actually, I want to just stop my presentation and ask some questions myself. So, thank you very much for having me here. I am currently still a student here, actually, doing my PhD. My dean is sitting here, former dean. And some of the profs, they are very upset to me why I still didn't stop mathematics. No. So, you know, life goes on, and today we will talk about business, right? So, I encourage every student that is in the house right now that I congratulate you to take part of such an event. One of the most important things for students is to see what's happening outside in the industry. And before I start my presentation, allow me just to state one thing, right? These are new industry trends you're hearing. And if any of your studies, any of your work, any of your assignments is related to such work, such trends you hear, then you're on the right track. If not, it's still time. Yeah? Thank you very much. So let's start. I was asked actually from my president and from my director of institutional sales to pitch in here today and talk about competition. That's a tough word, because competition in Malaysia, in Islamic finance, in Islamic asset management is barely existing. There's a lot of competition, but what's happening from the big picture is that the regulators, including the central bank, MIFC, and the other players, they're trying to grow the market. So we are in an environment, alhamdulillah, where the regulators, the market players, are getting support from the regulators, from the government, in order to be bigger and compete on a regional level, on a global level. And some of you may be here, including myself, because Malaysia is the world leader in Islamic finance with regard to some elements like sukuk. So I put in some slides, hopefully enlightening on what we think is happening right now in the markets, and looking to challenges in competition, because we think competition is happening on different layers. We basically heard it all. I hope I can just sum it up. And I would ask for your permission and apologize. I will just skip some slides. They're like pretty boring after what I hear today. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah. Next slide, please. Oh, I can do that myself? Yes. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's start with us. We are an Islamic asset management company. We are called Saturna. Saturna is not related to the planet Saturn, but it's an island off the coast of Vancouver, close to Canada, north of US, to the border of Canada. So it's like looking towards Hawaii and Japan, so in that direction, right? So it's an island. And our owners are operating in the asset management space for over 3 decades, over 30 years. They do asset management. And they came to Malaysia because Malaysia is a hub for Islamic finance, and they started a subsidiary 7 years ago in 2010, sorry. So what we do here is pure Islamic financial asset management. We run a few funds, including global equity, regional equity, and sukuk. And you of all people should know what this means, right? Our original company, the headquarters is in Bellingham, A lot of movies are made there, run on Netflix, because it's a very cloudy, rainy area. And why I'm telling this is, it's funny, because 30 years ago, a lot of mosques and masjids and small wakaf, they used to be in the US and had a few $100,000, a few $1 million, and they went to the owners of our company and told them, like, we have some funds, we don't know how to operate it, but we have some conditions: no interest, no speculation, and so on. So they gave them some idea of Islamic finance back 30 years ago. And this is not banking, and this is not insurance. This is like they have surplus money, and they don't know how to preserve it, how to protect it, how to grow it. So they went to our owners and told them, like, we don't really know, but we have some principles based on the Quran and Hadith. Can you help us run a few millions? And when they started sitting together with our famous chairman, Dr. Yaqub Mirza, they came up with the initial Islamic finance screening methodology to find places where to invest Islamically 30 years ago. No index, no Sharia committee, no nothing. No Dow Jones, Islamic, right? So what they did is they came up with some principles and they followed them and they improved them over time. And our owner, Nicholas Kaiser, a non-Muslim, liked the principles so much, so he converted the entire company into Islamic finance, right? So that's like 30 years ago, and I will show you some charts that the performance is not doing so bad, right? Anyway, so that's what we do. We basically buy stocks or sukuk and hold it for a long, long time. We don't trade, we don't speculate. We try to do value-based investing. We look into companies, do fundamental analysis, and then we buy. And then we hold them. You can see that with the middle pillar here, our turnover is very, very low. So we don't sell companies. We buy them and hold them. Why? Because initially, we think we select them well, and Islamically, and other sustainable criteria. So this is our company's investment philosophy, and it turned out to be moderately successful. The main thing I would like to show you here is the chart. I told you that our funds started 30 years ago, but a lot of people didn't know about us. Branding was an issue. We did good work, but nobody knew about us. So until you get the market right, and I will talk about competition later in detail, you need to get three things well, right? You need to have the performance, because people want what we call alpha. We want to outperform the market consistently. You can't do that with technical analysis consistently. You can't probably do that only with fundamentals consistently. You can't do that probably with insider trading consistently. Eugene Fama has a very famous article on that. So what happened is, once we had the three elements right, performance, pricing, and marketing, you can see that the financial crisis of 2007 and 8 helped us a lot to attract investments. And our funds grew from 100 million to 200 to 400 to 800 up to $4 billion US dollars in a very short period of, over the last 10 years, 15 years, right? So how did this happen? Is basically Islamic finance. If you invest in companies that are screened properly based on Islamic values and good criteria, like less debt is probably the most dominant. No speculation, good governance, then you end up outperforming the market, hopefully. But it's not only Islamic, right? You also need to know finance well. And I'll come to new trends in a short while. But basically, this is our company's history in terms of assets under management. So what we do, and we love what we do, is we do global mandates, we do global stocks, we do regional stocks, equity funds, and we also think we are not bad in sukuk management. So we buy and hold or trade sukuk or fixed income products. This is our investment screening process. It's a bit boring. Probably more interesting is what's happening in the markets right now. We all know last year everything went bad. What could go bad, right? No one would imagine Brexit or Donald Trump or 10 other things happening, and they all happened. So globally, we are operating in a very volatile market, which is not easy to read. And what's happening if markets are not easy to read is that people are moving their funds from A to B. And that's a big issue right now in the asset management space when it comes to competition, which is active management versus passive management. I'll talk about this later. Then we have another huge trend called negative yields. Negative yields is, imagine that you want money to buy a house from the bank, and the bank says, yeah, just take the money and I'll give you 100,000 on top. That's like negative yields. I remember the German finance minister speaking recently, they said, like, this is now the 6th or 7th quarter, we are raising debt for the government, and we are making hell of a money by raising debt. So Germany, the government is raising debt with German bonds, papers, and they are able to score negative rates, meaning they need $10 billion, and they get $10 billion plus $1 billion for free. So imagine you need money, and they give you money for free. So this is another industry trend, which is kind of weird. Why? Because if this reverses, then we have some issues. Then I put here some numbers on the global outlook on GDP growth by the IMF, which is probably the most trusted economic indicator provider. And you can see ASEAN 5 was downwards revised. Can I say that? And even India, supposed to grow faster, but it's growing slower. China is supposed to grow faster, but it's growing slower. But it usually outbeats the market. So if you see what happened after the global financial crisis, which I don't think we fully recovered. We're still talking about the ills of the financial crisis. Then this is the picture painted by the IMF. What we also observe is the lower oil prices was really an issue. So as a layman, you think, hey, if gasoline prices are down, it's not bad. If oil prices are down, it's not bad. But for a country like Malaysia, that is a producer of oil and gas, it's probably not a good thing to happen on the markets. Yeah, so one thing that happened while the oil prices contracted was that GST was introduced. This meant for the Malaysian government, on one side, we are losing on revenues. On the other side, we are opening a new source of income. So I know it's not liked here, but economically, it was a very smart move by the government. And they were basically lucky because they didn't link it to the oil price, right? They prepared it a long time ago, but the introduction was quite well. Here are some further observations. I would like to focus just on the last. What we see right now in the market, you correct me if I'm wrong here at the panel, the last, let's say 10 years or so, the dominating factor in the asset management space or in the financial world or in the economic world was the monetary policy. So everything was linked to, or the majority of our decisions were linked to macroeconomic happenings based on the central banks. The central banks want to kickstart the economy to grow GDP faster. How do they do that? They decrease interest rates. And when they do that, it's not enough. So they buy assets from the market. So by doing that, they are trying to flood the market with money. And the last 10 years was basically just looking at people like Janet Yellen, or the Japanese central bank, or the European central bank. What are they doing? And we were just mostly trying to forecast or trying to react. Now we see a change from monetary policy, which is a healthy thing, to more fiscal policy related forecasting. And the trigger was the election of Donald Trump. He came to power and he said, I'm going to cut the tax, I'm going to invest infrastructure, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So basically this is what the central banks were calling for a long period of time. And Trump had other things in mind, but he triggered basically the discussion away from monetary policy towards fiscal policy. So, what we also see here, let's just move on. If you look to the asset management space, competition we see on 3 levels, maybe more. You can say maybe these are selective competition areas. We see a huge outflow of active management products, structures to passive management products like ETF, index funds, and so on. And there's a lot of risks to it. One of them being liquidity is drawn out. Another one being they buy any stock in the market without considering any valuation, and so on. And we also see competition on a domestic level, on a regional level, and on a global level from a Saturna perspective. And on a product innovation, we see whenever there's a new trend, everybody's jumping on the wagon. So there's some kind of competition as well. Okay, so product innovation competition is basically what Umar stands for. He's scaring everybody in the market by just mentioning the word fintech. Because usually big institutions like Maybank or other big institutions globally, they wait until they see what's happening, and then they hope they could buy the companies out and do some kind of business decision. And today's discussion is basically about business. It's basically about competition, and that's business, right? So you do internally decide, I develop the product or I buy the product. And that's on the next slide. Here, if you look some more deeper, one level deeper, we can see that the GLCs, the government-linked corporations, they are moving towards Islamic assets. That's a good, positive sign. That's helping a bit in the competition space. Then we also see that the public is more aware on Islamic, on crowd, on fintech. They are trying out things. So based on that, we have some go-to-market strategies. Saturna does not compete on a domestic level. At least we don't have any domestic funds. We leave it to the expertise of the local people. We came here from the US as an institution, and there is like 150 or something local funds, and we think they're serving their market well, and this is not our turf. So when you look to regional competition, you can see it basically on the banking level. CIMB is going regional, Maybank is going regional, other banks trying to go regional, some burn their fingers and go back. And it's an active market of consolidation. And one reason for that is if you're not successful in your region, you probably have some tough time on the global market. So we think there is some opportunity in the Islamic asset management space on a regional level. And globally, we are already there for the last 30 years. So I would like to conclude, but I have some more slides on new trends coming up. We can discuss probably later. If you look to competition, the best way forward is to put up Michael Porter's 5 forces and then see where is the pain. Where is the pain? And we see the pain on new entrants trying out local markets, trying out regional markets, trying out global markets, and see if they can catch a fish. Then on the threats from substitutes, we can see clearly a big fight, a big war between active management and passive management, whereas I really see a lot of risks from Islamic perspective when you go to ETFs and passive, because basically what they do is they buy all the companies in an index. Doesn't matter of valuation, doesn't matter of good or bad management, they just buy everything. So the other area which my colleague here from the panel already touched is on the fee structure. What we think we are doing in the market right now as Saturna is we are basically trying to have a new model on fees. We are the cheapest fund in Malaysia. We are similar to Uber or to Grab. We just guarantee we are just the cheapest on the fee structure. Why? Because if our funds, and that's a philosophy from our owners, are in the negative territory, we don't charge any funds, any fees. So we're not looking into outperforming a benchmark. If the benchmark is down 10% and you're down 9%, it's tough to ask your clients for 2% fees, right? So what we do is, if we don't stay in the positive territory, we don't charge any fees, right? So on the positive side, if we outperform the benchmark and we are on the positive side, we are charging a mudaraba fee of 10%. So you can do your modeling and say after like 25% plus, maybe we are more expensive than the others, but until then, we are probably the cheapest in the market. So, having said that, I do believe one of the biggest challenges are operational right now in Malaysia on the Islamic asset management space, and that's the war on talents, and the war on artificial intelligence, and the war on fintech. So artificial intelligence, basically, just to give you an idea, makes a lot of people in this room obsolete. I'm a financial analyst. I check fixed income products. I check balance sheets. I check income statements. And it's easily done by a robo-analyst. Fast forward 5 years, 10 years, a lot of financial analysts might be obsolete. So is this a good trend or not? We don't know. A lot of people, if you think about the higher education space, Coursera or edX are examples of that. I took a lot of courses, I even paid for them. And I was in Yale, I was in Harvard, I was at Stanford online, and I participated in a 6 month course, including assignments and exams. So that's also artificial intelligence, if you want. On the fintech space, I want to wrap up. On the fintech space, small companies can come and just slice the Maybanks and the CIMBs and the Saturnas by removing all the head cost and just focusing on housing projects. Whereas the bigger companies, they don't need to do it, they can't do that. So this is called the death by the 1,000 swords, right? In the Chinese or the Japanese samurai story. Meaning the fintechs can really choose a small area where the big banks have problems adopting quickly. And that's a big challenge as well in competition. So on the product level, we see a huge shift in the customer perspective. Young people, the millennials who were mentioned here, or crowdfunding people, they know already they would like to have a say on the environment. They don't want to invest in Volkswagen shares if the government if the leadership is lying. They don't want to invest in Deepwater Horizon or BP if they're destroying the oceans. They don't want to invest in banks that are causing financial crisis. So, having said that, I give back to our.
Thank you very much. A little vicious circle, due to the oil market problems. The last year, to my surprise, many of us don't know who was the biggest exporter of the oil. It was not the OPEC. It was Russia. Okay, that's one part of it. The second part is the cost. of oil exploration. So exports actually has gone to somewhere else. So what happened? The exporting countries did not make money. They lose the money because oil prices going down. But someone else make money. China, India, for example. Why? Because they save a lot of foreign exchange by importing huge crude oils. So what did they do? Where did this saving go? This saving did not go to the consumer's spending. They just, if the prices go down by 50%, they just transfer the benefits to the customer only by 5%, reducing the prices. So huge saving. This saving has gone into investments in the China, in India, even in Malaysia for that matter. To that extent, fine. What Aramco did, and that's why I relate it to the King Salman visit to the East, he is coming to this part of the world that those investments, so-called in government spending, they go and they buy the stake because they save the money from exports. So no, we can't make money by exporting the oil. We better go buy their stakes where they're investing. So it's a very vicious circle I see around going on. What is going to be the impact of this on the really the overall the macroeconomics of it?
With moderate to no success. So whenever the prices go up, the oil rigs pop up in the US again. And many people don't know, probably, that America is producing as much oil as Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But mostly they're using their oil for themselves. So, yeah, I have no answer to your question. What I see is China is playing it pretty well. China, as you might know, having the One Belt, One Road project. That's having such a big impact.
We are not going into economy, political, international kind of thing. Okay, it's a more on wealth management. Can I stop you there?
Yesterday, we had a very important question. Does Ethis Crowd or Capital Boost, any of these companies, have the audited financial reports at the end of the day, or do you have the annual reports coming out? Because if we want to study, we want to see your annual reports, but audited. Do you have any such facility right now?
But we are slowly becoming more and more transparent as we move along. Yeah.
Najib, very important one. I don't think anybody want to ask you on that. How is your response to the growing of AI, fintech, and wealth management, internet-based wealth management with the Bitcoin, the insurance, and everything? How that will affect you believe in terms of wealth management when it comes to an institution like Maybank, for that matter? Is it okay to ask that question?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Work for the same employer, so we have to be careful in terms of answer. I would perhaps speak on behalf of Maybank, but as a whole, because they in turn would have their own strategy in terms of how to cater for the fintech or oncoming threat fintech. What I know is, yes, Maybank is looking at it very aggressively and very intently. We have our own laboratory, so to speak, out in Mumbai. It's a laboratory where we test fin technology to a certain extent. Of course, in terms of getting it out in the press, our DNA we're not like that. We never announce something that we don't have full grasp on or very confident on. So we are looking into it. There is a laboratory, there is a development. We know that it's a ongoing threat that will crystallize very soon with the oncoming of the millennials as our new customer base, with the oncoming of external service providers such as Satuna, and also alternative service providers such as Brother Umar coming on stream and using the internet platform or technology platform to reach out to the consumer. So yes, we take it as a threat. We have our own strategies to cater to that. In fact, we're looking towards a few partners, and you know, Brother Mustafa correctly did mention as well. We're also looking at entities that we possibly may acquire to a certain extent if the DNA fits. So there's a lot of strategies and there's a lot of dynamics at play. So we're waiting and seeing how best to suit the present competition or present trend.
Last 2 months I was in Dubai discussing on the fintech and asset management as a whole. So one speaker made a statement which I don't know true or not. He quoted the governor of Malaysian Central Bank that in 20-something, 25% of the banking business will be wiped out by the fintech. He estimates it will be not less than 35% of the wealth management business will be wiped out by the fintech and AI, for that matter. So this kind of, I mean, say for example, you are talking about the financial advisory and analysis that can be done by AI, can be done by a lot of company over the fintech. You're talking about wealth management, fintech can also give you some alternative, which may, if say for example, you students, you people in the market are not capable of catching up with the technology, you may end up planting something at your backyard or something at home. I mean, it is very clear on that matter, and the message is very clear. The intention of the technology is to cut at least 30% of the workforce, at least 30% of the normal workforce. So if you are doing kind of, working kind of using your energy and everything, you may not be relevant anymore. The added value that they want from the workforce in every segment, financial especially, is on your intelligence, no longer on your energy. The energy can be done by robotic kind of that things. In one of the presentation they put one time in year whatever they put, year 2090 they put it in as simulation. You are just sitting up, you are just sitting on your seat. You ask for food, you just press, the robot will come and give you food. Yeah, you want drink, you just press, everything come. And you want them to type, you just key in, he will type for you everything. You are just sitting like that and thinking what to do. Man, it's about your intelligence, no longer about your energy and doing the work of the normal people who are doing now. Even the lecturer may no longer be relevant for that matter. So I'm worried about my job as well.
On competition and the issue of threats and you know, taking each other's pies and stuff like that. I think there's two things I wanted to share. Today, competition is ironically about collaboration. Right? I like to give confusing statements. To compete, you need to collaborate. And for example, the banks who collaborate better and faster with fintech startups have an edge over the banks who don't. Right? That is the nature of competition today, and that's what we are seeing overseas. So what I'm hinting at is, if Maybank is not fast, their partner will maybe their competitor may counter partner faster. No, but I mean, it's a serious point. It's a serious point. As much as the banks are trying to develop their own fintech, which is great because they have all sorts of expertise and resources we don't. But certain mindsets or certain approaches to things will be difficult to inculcate within a banking culture, maybe. Yeah? So there are strengths on both sides. And the other thing about competition or about threat, we are talking about Islamic finance. I think it's really about collaboration, not about threats, because Islamic finance has not reached the masses. Islamic finance has not reached the average Muslim in so many countries. Even in countries where Islamic finance is developed, except maybe Malaysia, it's largely serving the wealthy, right? So there's so many gaps to fill, and sometimes the banks find it difficult to fill those gaps for many different reasons, and fintechs can come in to fill those gaps together with the banks, or working with the banks. So this is the way I see it, and inshallah I hope this will bring a lot of benefit to not only the banking system, Islamic banking, Islamic finance in general will be more balanced, inshallah.
Okay, last question from the audience. If there is more question, then I have to finish this session.
About the crowdfunding, do you have some kind of client that can invest inside the project? And then about your experience, what was your toughest thing that you faced when you first make the startup? And are you seeking to move to African market? Thank you.
You have 4 questions rather not 1.
To be democratic, liberal, open, anybody, not democratic, liberal.
1 minute.
Okay, liberal, so anybody can invest. Of course, we have to do our KYC stuff, you know, as in get your information, your ID and all that, which the regulators require. Second question was the toughest part?
Yeah.
Toughest part is only starting up and showing initial traction. A lot of people got ideas. Ideas are not worth anything until they become something. Right? You can have a million ideas. Some people are so scared of sharing their idea that nothing happens in the end. So the difficult thing is to get started and to get moving, because you'll face all sorts of challenges. I spoke to maybe 5 senior guys in Singapore before I started. Only one said it's a good idea. Everybody else said don't waste your time. Nobody's ever going to invest in this thing, for example, right? So that's another challenge.
Africa,
alhamdulillah. We have just recently set up in South Africa and Nigeria with joint venture partners. And inshallah, it will take 2-3 months before we can start operating over there.
Okay, where are you from, brother? Okay, no, I think Senegal is part of Africa anyway. Thank you very much for all the panelists, to the audience for having a good discussion, feedback and everything. Could you please join me in giving a round of applause to the panelists for a good discussion. Over to you, Badrol, please.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. As our gratitude to all panelists and moderator, I now would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dr. Burhan Saiti, lecturer of IIiBF, to present a token of appreciation. Please welcome. First, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Encik Ahmad Najib from Maybank Islamic. Next, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Mr. Omar Munshi from Etis Crowd. And next, please welcome Mr. Mustafa Adimir from Satana Capital Corporation. Last but not least, to our moderator, Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Dr. Adnan Hassan from IIiBF. And I end my duty here with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.